Hey. Welcome to Story Time, and thank you for stopping by Lachelle René's book Euphorium, where we get euphoric with books. Ooh. What was that? Mufasa. Ooh. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. It is Tuesday, December 8th, and I hope you had a good day. Let's see. Welcome to Story Time. The first half of Story Time, we learn a little bit, get a little bit of knowledge, get a little bit of Black history. Hey, Velda. Hey, Alex. And we read some storybooks. And then the second half of Story Time, we read, by request, we read from a selected chapter book, which we're currently reading, The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. And it is fun. It is fun. One of my friends told me today that you really get into your reading, and I love it. So lots of opportunities for me to practice characters and stuff like that. So let's get right to it. We're going to start off with a little bit of Aesop. And this one's a little lengthy. Well, it's a little bit longer than the normal ones, the other ones that we've read. And it is called, I'm going to put this on pause until we start reading. Okay. It's called The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. This sounds familiar. A country mouse invited a town mouse, an intimate friend, to pay him a visit and partake of his country fare. As they were on the bare plowlands, eating their wheat stalks and roots pulled up from the hedgerow, the town mouse said to his friend, "You live here the life of the ants, while in my house is the horn of plenty. I am surrounded with every luxury, and if you will come with me, as I wish you would, you shall have an ample share of my dainties." The country mouse was easily persuaded and returned to town with his friend. On his arrival, the town mouse placed before him bread, barley, beans, dried figs, honey, raisins, and, last of all, brought a dainty piece of cheese from a basket. The country mouse, being much delighted at the sight of such good cheer, expressed his satisfaction in warm terms and lamented his own hard fate. Just as they were beginning to eat, someone opened the door, and they both ran off squeaking as fast as they could to a hole so narrow that two could only find room in it by squeezing. They had scarcely begun their repast again when someone else entered. Entered to take something out of the cupboard, whereupon the two mice, more frightened than before, ran away and hid themselves. At last, the country mouse, almost famished, said to his friend, "Although you have prepared for me so dainty a feast, I must leave you to enjoy it by yourself. It is surrounded by too many dangers to please me. I prefer my bare plowlands and roots from the hedgerow, where I can live in safety and without fear." There you go. The town mouse and the country mouse. So, to each his own. Hey, Tay! So good to see you. Where you been? Okay. So, we've got 4 more honorable mentions. So, let's get to those. From our Little Legends, Exceptional Men in Black History by Vashti Harrison. So, who we got here? We got Floyd Norman. Who's this? He was born in 1935, and at the time that this book was written, he was still alive. Oops. As the first black animator at Disney, he worked on Sleeping Beauty, Mulan, Toy Story 2, and more. He co-founded Vignette Films to make movies about black history and has authored many books on cartooning, animation techniques, and the film industry. All right, Floyd Norman. Yes. And next, Guion Guy Bluford. He was born in 1942, and at the time that this book was written, he was still alive. I will look those up momentarily. He was the first African American in space in 1983. He flew 4 space shuttle missions in 9 years, logging 688 hours off the planet. He conducted many scientific experiments while in space, including studying the effects of spaceflight on the human body. Give it up for Guion Guy Bluford. And don't forget about Floyd Norman. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, I'll have to look those up as we go along, and we'll see what's going on with them. All right, so next we are rereading our Little Leaders book, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. And if you guys know of any other books like these where we can get like little one-page facts, little nuggets of wisdom, let me know. Of course, I will look them up, and we might have them for story time. Okay? So, yeah, yesterday we read about Charlotte E. Ray. This is our second time through this book, Vashti Harrison, because we love them so much. Tonight, ooh, look at her. We are going to read about Ida B. Wells. She was born in 1862, and she passed away in 1931. She was a journalist and activist. Ida was a natural-born activist. Whenever she saw injustice, she stood up against it. She was born a slave in Mississippi. Yeah. I'm just making sure that we didn't read this one yesterday. But emancipation came to the South when she was still a child, and this meant she had the opportunity to get an education. After college, you hear that? After college, she worked as a teacher, but lost her job for criticizing the poor conditions of the black segregated schools. In 1884, 71 years before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, Ida refused to leave her seat in the woman's car on a train in Memphis, Tennessee. She had purchased a first-class ticket but was asked to leave and join the African-American car. Right? We love the honorable mentions. Ida did not go quietly. She filed a lawsuit against the railroad and eventually won her case. There was no rule that said black women could not ride in the women's car. However, segregation legislation was soon implemented in Tennessee, and Ida received no further justice in the matter. 3 years later, her case was overturned. She took her frustrations and wrote an article in the newspaper under the name Lola, and later became known as Lola, Princess of the Press. Journalism became her outlet. She was the owner and editor of the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, and later the free speech. She took a major stance against lynching and faced death threats for her words. In 1898, she led a huge anti-lynching campaign all the way to the White House. Ida knew the power of words and knowledge and continued to use her voice to stand up for what was right. Gosh, these never get old reading. Ugh, give it up for Ida B. Wells, y'all. Ida B. Wells. And go Vashti with your illustrations. Yes, you did this, Vashti. Love it, love it, love it, love it. If y'all see her, just let her know how much we love her books. Right? So, hold on one second. Let's see. Floyd Floyd Norman. Okay. Hold please, hold please, hold please. Okay. Oh, and we've got one more here. So we could never have too much about Black history, right? Okay, Floyd Norman is still alive. He is 85 years old. Boom. Okay, just wanted to let y'all know that. And then Normally I am a little bit more prepared, so apologies. My staff, me, was a little busy today. Okay, and Guillaume, he is 78 years old. Still alive, y'all. Look them up. Look them up. Wait, and I know you can't see this, but there's some pictures of him in his space outfit. Yeah, anyway, I tried. All right, so, and then we have one more little nugget of Black history from our Black History flashcards from the Urban Intellectuals. And today we're going to learn about some facts about Benjamin Banneker. He was born November 9th, 1731, and he passed away on October 9th, 1806. Fact 1. A free, self-taught African-American mathematician, astronomer, almanac author, and farmer. Fact 2. At age 15, he took over the family farm and created an irrigation system to control the flow of water to the crops. Fact number 3. Hold on a second. Yep, that's what I thought. Fact number 3. In the 1750s, he invented the first clock in America. It was the invention that put his talents on display for the country. Fact 4. Responsible for surveying of territory for construction of the nation's capital in 1791 after the lead architect quit. 5. Authored commercially successful series of almanacs. And the last fact, corresponded with Thomas Jefferson, drafter of the United States Declaration of Independence, on the topics of slavery and racial equality. Benjamin Banneker, y'all. And you know why this sounds familiar? Because he's in our Little Legends book that we read. Yes! Man, y'all. Yes, 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 yes. Let me see who we got coming up tomorrow. We read about this one. The one we're going to read tomorrow, we read about her too. That's okay though, because it's so good. All right, so I was just talking to a friend today, and I said, you know, I really didn't want this the theme of this month, to be all Christmassy. And I didn't mean to say that with a frown, but I wanted to include all the different holidays and maybe just not even holiday books, but just books in general. It's been a long year, so I just am really in the mood for light and fun and things like that. However, but tonight we are going to read a book about Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts this Thursday, so there we go. We're going to do some Hanukkah books. So tonight we're going to read, and we might not do Hanukkah all week, but we are going to do some Hanukkah books. We're going to do some Kwanzaa books. We're going to do some Christmas books. We're going to do some winter books, whatever I find in our stash of books. Okay? So tonight's book that we're going to read for our storybook is called Hanukkah Bear by Eric A. Kimmel. The illustrations are by Mike Wanotka. Hanukkah Bear. Right? Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool even when we do reread them. Let's see. Okay. Ready? Let's read Hanukkah Bear. Old Bear awoke from his winter sleep. He poked his nose outside his den. What was that? Something to eat. Old Bear's empty stomach rumbled. He shook himself all over, then lumbered out of his den to follow the delicious smell. There's Old Bear. Baba Braina took the last potato latke from the pan and put it in the oven with the others. Baba Braina was 97 years old and did not hear or see as well as she used to, but she still made the best potato latkes in the village. Every year at Hanukkah time, all her friends came to her house on the edge of the forest. How they loved those latkes. Baba Braina always made plenty, but tonight she made twice as many as usual. Tonight was special. Tonight the rabbi was coming. Baba Braina hurried to get ready. And there she is. Look at her, getting all clean. You see that? Oh. Okay, wait. Did y'all say Heather came in here? Hey, Heather. I didn't see you come in. Hey, Heather. I didn't see you come in. Oh, you know what I forgot? I made some new cards today. I forgot them, but they're in the press right now because I pressed them to make the folds even, more crisp. Anyway, just then she heard a thump on the door. She opened it. Rabbi, you're here early. How nice to see you. Grump, growled Old Bear. Happy Hanukkah to you, too. Please, come in. Oh, look. Old Bear walked into the house. I'll take your coat, Rabbi. My, how thick it is. Baba Braina tugged on Old Bear's fur. Old Bear roared, Groar! Oh, you want to keep your coat on? Well, that's all right. It is chilly in here. Old Bear's nose twitched. Thank you, Rabbi. How kind of you to say that. The latkes will taste even better than they smell. Old Bear followed his nose to the oven. Rabbi, I'm surprised at you. You know we don't eat until we light the menorah? Grrr, that's all right. I know you were teasing. I'll light the candles. Will you say the blessing? The blessings? Oh, imagine that. Baba Brena struck a match and lit the chamet's candles. Then she lit the one for the first night. Old Bear muttered and growled, "Rumph, grrr, grrr." Who has kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this season. Oh, Rabbi, you say the blessings so beautifully. Look at them. These illustrations are very beautiful, I think. You can feel the warmth inside and the cold outside. Baba Brena sat down at the table. Old Bear sat beside her. Let's play dreidel. We'll use these nuts. Old Bear cracked one with his teeth. Rabbi, you won't have any nuts for the game if you eat them. Growled Old Bear. Don't worry, I have plenty of nuts if you need more. Baba Brena spun the dreidel. It stopped on the letter Gimel. Gimel. I pray that I'm pronouncing that correctly. I win! Baba Brena swept the nuts into her apron. Roar, roar, roar! Excuse me. Old Bear roared. Don't be angry, Rabbi. It's only a game. She tossed him a nut. Old Bear begged for more. No, Rabbi, no more nuts. It's time for dinner. Baba Brena opened the oven door and took out a platter piled high with steaming potato latkes. Old Bear sniffed the latkes as she set them on the table. Do you prefer sour cream or jam? Baba Brena asked. Look at him. He's so happy. Yum. Roar, Old Bear growled. Jam. I thought so. Baba Brena smeared 5 big latkes with jam and stacked them on Old Bear's plate. Old Bear gobbled them down. Baba Brena laughed. You should use a fork. You have jam all over your beard. She wet a towel and wiped Old Bear's face. I must tell you, Rabbi, you eat like a bear. I'm hungry like a bear, so I eat like one. I can see that, Baba Brena said. So she's even interpreting in her head what he's saying. Look at her wiping his mouth. Old Bear ate and ate until the latkes were gone. He felt drowsy. Oof. His head flopped on Baba Brena's lap. Rabbi, you're sleepy. Who wouldn't be sleepy after such a meal? All the latkes are gone. It's time to go home. Like, okay, get out now. Oh. But before you leave, I have a Hanukkah present for you. Bubba Braina took out a red scarf from her knitting basket. She wrapped it around Old Bear's neck. I made it myself. Grrr. Old Bear licked Bubba Braina's face. Bubba Braina blushed. Oh, Rabbi. Okay, go lay down. Sorry, Mowgli has entered the book Euphorium. At my age, Old Bear shuffled to the door. He growled as he walked off into the night. Good night to you too, Rabbi. Happy Hanukkah. Oh, look. Y'all see him leaving all content and happy. Whoop-a-doop-a-doo. She's like, bye. Bubba Braina was washing dishes when she heard another knock. I wonder who that is. Hey. Shalom, Bubba Braina. All her friends stood at the door wishing her a happy Hanukkah. Shalom, everybody, Bubba Braina said. How nice to see you. I'm sorry, I don't have any more latkes. The rabbi came by. He ate them all. Bubba Braina, don't you recognize me? It was the rabbi. The rabbi couldn't have eaten your latkes, everyone said. He's been with us in the synagogue. Bubba Braina rubbed her forehead. Something strange is happening. Rabbi, I think there is an impostor going around. He looks like you. He talks like you. He even has your beard. Just then, the children cried, Look at the floor! Bear tracks! A bear? And I thought it was the rabbi. Bubba Braina had to sit down. Soon, she began to giggle. That was a very clever bear. Or a very foolish Bubba Braina. Ah, well. Let the bear have a happy Hanukkah. I had a happy Hanukkah too. And so will you, dear friends. Bring some potatoes from the cellar. Fetch my grater and bowl. Everybody has to help. You too, Rabbi. If we all work together, we'll soon have latkes for everyone. And there's the little kids singing bear tracks. And there's everybody in the house helping and dancing. Deep in the forest, Old Bear slumbered in his den. His stomach was full of potato latkes. The warm woolen scarf was wrapped snugly around his neck. Pleasant dreams, Old Bear. And happy Hanukkah. The end. All right. Look at him. The end. Oh, so sweet. I loved it. And then they actually have a recipe in here for latkes. So let's do a quick recap, y'all. We got a little splash of Aesop. We read again about Ida B. Wells, who was a journalist and activist. And you're right, Velda, her perseverance was, wow. And we did do some honorable mentions and all of that. And our storybook for the evening was by Eric A. Kimmel, and it was called Hanukkah Bear. Oh, isn't it sweet? Oh, so there you go. Okay. I'm still happy to get a new iPad if anybody wants to donate one to the book Euphorium story time, because that one's kind of slow. All right, it's the second half of story time. Chapter book time. Let's see if I can get some holiday music on. Okay. I need to find a holiday station on Pandora that's like a mix of everything. I mean, they have a Nat King Cole station, who I love. They have a whole bunch of different stations, but I just want one that has a combination of everything, like Mannheim Steamrollers. If you never heard of them, they're fantastic. Classical music, instrumental music, Mariah Carey. I want a little bit of everything, so I'll have to find that on Pandora. All right, y'all. It's time for our chapter book, The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. So yesterday when we ended story time, I was so excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, this book has so many like life lessons. It's so cool. I love that during the first 2 chapters that we read yesterday, when you stop thinking, you enter the doldrums. And there was a real place in the book. Okay. So let's get to it. We are on chapter 3. Remember, Milo was on his way to Dictionopolis. So I'm going to get right to it. Right? Chapter 3. Welcome to Dictionopolis. These words are great. Okay, and let me just tell you right now, I don't even remember what voice I used for Milo yesterday. So each day, my little voices might change because I don't even remember what voice I used for him yesterday. So there we go. Okay, here we go. Chapter 3. Welcome to Dictionopolis. You must excuse my gruff conduct, the watchdog said after they'd been driving for some time. But, you see, it's traditional for watchdogs to be ferocious. Milo was so relieved at having escaped the doldrums that he assured the dog that he bore him no ill will and, in fact, was very grateful for the assistance. Splendid! Shouted the watchdog. I'm very pleased. I'm sure we'll be great friends for the rest of the trip. You may call me Tock. That is a strange name for a dog who goes tick, 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 tick all day, said Milo. Why didn't they call you... Don't say it, gasped the dog, and Milo could see a tear well up in his eye. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, said Milo, not meaning to hurt his feelings. That's all right, said the dog, getting a hold of himself. It's an old story, and a sad one, but I can tell it to you now. Ooh, I think I'm going to need a different voice for the dog. When my brother was born, here we go, the first pup in the family, My parents were overjoyed and immediately named him Tick, in expectation of the sound they were sure he'd make. On first winding him, they discovered, to their horror, that instead of going tick, 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 he went tock, 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 tock. They rushed to the Hall of Records to change the name, but too late. It had already been officially inscribed, and nothing could be done. When I arrived, they were determined not to make the same mistake twice, and since it seemed logical that all their children would make the same sound, they named me Talk. Of course, you know the rest. My brother is called Tick because he goes talk, 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 talk. And I am called Talk because I go tick, 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 tick. And both of us are forever burdened with the wrong names. My parents were so overwrought that they gave up having any more children and devoted their lives to doing good work among the poor and hungry. But how did you become a watchdog? Interjected Milo, hoping to change the subject, as Talk was sobbing quite loudly now. That, he said, rubbing a paw in his eye, is also traditional. My family have always been watchdogs, from father to son, almost since time began. You see, he continued, beginning to feel better, once there was no time at all, and people found it very inconvenient. They never knew whether they were eating lunch or dinner, and they were always missing trains. So time was invented to help them keep track of the day and get places when they should. When they began to count all the time that was available, what was 60 seconds in a minute, and 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in a day, and 365 days in a year, it seemed as if there was much more than could ever be used. If there's so much of it, it couldn't be very valuable, was the general opinion, and it soon fell into disrepute. People wasted it and even gave it away. Then we were given the job of seeing that no one wasted time again, he said, sitting up proudly. It's hard work, but a noble calling. For you see, and now he was standing on the seat, one foot on the windshield, shouting with his arms outstretched. Let's see, here we go. We'll do it like this way. With his arms outstretched. It is our most valuable possession, more precious than diamonds. It marches on. It and tide wait for no man. And at that point in the speech, the car hit a bump in the road, and the watchdog collapsed in a heap on the front seat with his alarm again ringing furiously. Are you all right? Shouted Milo. Grunted Talk. Sorry to get carried away, but I think you get the point. As they drove along, Talk continued to explain the importance of time, quoting the old philosophers and poets and illustrating each point with gestures that brought him perilously close to tumbling headlong from the speeding automobile. Before long, they saw in the distance the towers and flags of Dictionopolis sparkling in the sunshine, and in a few moments they reached the great wall and stood at the gateway to the city. Look at them. Here comes there's Dictionopolis. And there they are. "Rem!" roared the gateman, like, clearing his throat and snapping smartly to attention. "This is Dictionopolis, a happy kingdom, advantageously located in the foothills of confusion and caressed by gentle breezes from the sea of knowledge. Today, by royal proclamation, is market day. Have you come to buy or sell?" "I beg your pardon?" said Milo. "Buy or sell. Buy or sell," repeated the gateman impatiently. "Which is it? You must have come here for some reason." "Well, Milo began. "Come now, if you don't have a reason, you must at least have an explanation or certainly an excuse," interrupted the gateman. Here's the gateman. Milo shook his head. Very serious, the gateman said, shaking his head also. "You can't get in without a reason." He thought for a moment and then continued. "Wait a minute. Maybe I have an old one you can use." He took a battered suitcase from the gatehouse and began to rummage busily through it, mumbling to himself, No, this won't do. No. This is fine," he cried triumphantly, holding up a small medallion on a chain. He dusted it off, and engraved on one side were the words, "Why not?" Oh my gosh. That's a good reason for almost anything. A bit used, perhaps, but still quite serviceable. And with that, he placed it around Milo's neck, pushed back the heavy iron gate, bowed low, and motioned them into the city. "I wonder what the market will be like," thought Milo, as they drove through the gate. But before there was time for an answer, they had driven into an immense square crowded with long lines of stalls heaped with merchandise and decorated in gay-colored bunting. Overhead, a large banner proclaimed, "Welcome to the Word Market." It's not the world market. Okay, hold on. So today is market day, word market. I'm so excited. And from across the square, 5 very tall, thin gentlemen regally dressed in silks and satins, plumed hats, and buckled shoes rushed up to the car, stopped short, mopped 5 brows, caught 5 breaths, and unrolled 5 parchments, and began talking in turn. Greetings, salutations, welcome, good afternoon, hello. Milo nodded his head, and they went on reading from their scrolls. By order of Azaz, the unabridged, King of Dictionopolis, monarch of letters, emperor of phrases, sentences, and miscellaneous figures of speech, we offer you the hospitality of our kingdom, country, nation, state, commonwealth, realm, empire, palatinate, principalities. Do all those words mean the same thing? Gasped Milo. Of course, certainly, precisely, exactly, yes, they replied in order. Oh, this is so fantastic. Well then, said Milo, not understanding why each one said the same thing in a slightly different way, wouldn't it be simpler to use just one? It would certainly make more sense. Nonsense. Ridiculous. Fantastic. Absurd. Bosh. They chorused again and continued. We're not interested in making sense. It's not our job, scolded the first. Besides, explained the second, one word is as good as another, so why not use them all? Then you wouldn't have to choose. Oh, sorry. Then you don't have to choose which one is right, advised the third. Besides, said the fourth, if one is right, then 10 or 10 times is right. Obviously, you don't know who we are, sneered the fifth, and they presented themselves one by one as the Duke of Definition, the Minister of Meaning, the Earl of Essence, the Count of Connotation, the Undersecretary of Understanding. Milo acknowledged the introduction and, as Tok growled softly, the minister explained. We are the king's advisors, or, in more formal terms, his cabinet. Here's one of them, I suppose. Cabinet, recited the Duke. 1. A small private room or closet, case with drawers, etc., for keeping valuables or displaying curiosities. 2. Council room for chief ministers of state. 3. A body of official advisors to the chief executive of a nation. You see, continued the minister, bowing thankfully to the Duke, Dictionopolis is the place where all the words in the world come from. They're grown right here in our orchards. I didn't know that words grew on trees, said Milo timidly. Where did you think they grew? Shouted the Earl irritably. A small crowd began to gather to see the little boy who didn't know that letters grew on trees. I didn't know they grew at all, admitted Milo, even more timidly. Several people shook their heads sadly. Well, money doesn't grow on trees, does it? Demanded the Count. I've heard not, said Milo. Then something must. Why not words? Exclaimed the Undersecretary triumphantly. The crowd cheered his display of logic and continued about its business. To continue, continued the minister impatiently, once a week by royal proclamation, the word market is held here in the great square, and people come from everywhere to buy the words they need or trade in the words they haven't used. Our job, said the Count, is to see that all the words sold are proper ones, for it wouldn't do to sell someone a word that had no meaning or didn't exist at all. For instance, if you bought a word like Gilbisk, Glbtsk, Gilbisk, Gilbitisk, where would you use it? It would be difficult, thought Milo, but it would be difficult, thought Milo, but there were so many words that were difficult, and he knew hardly any of them. But We never choose which ones to use, explained the Earl as they walked toward the market stalls. For as long as they mean what they mean to mean, we don't care if they make sense or nonsense. Innocence or magnificence, added the Count. Reticence or common sense, said the Undersecretary. That seems simple enough, said Milo, trying to be polite. Easy as falling off a log, cried the Earl, falling off a log with a loud thump. And there he goes, falling off a log. Must you be so clumsy? Shouted the Duke. All I said was, began the Earl, rubbing his head. We heard you, said the minister angrily, and you'll have to find an expression that's less dangerous. The Earl dusted himself off as the other snickered audibly. You see, continued the Count, you must pick your words very carefully, and be sure you say just what you intend to say. And now we must leave to make preparations for the royal banquet. You'll be there, of course, said the minister, but before Milo had a chance to say anything, they were rushing off across the square as fast as they had come. Enjoy yourself in the market, shouted back the Undersecretary. Market, recited the Duke, an open space or covered building in which... And that was the last Milo heard as they disappeared into the crowd. I never knew words could be so confusing, Milo said to Tock as he bent down to scratch the dog's ear. Only when you use a lot to say a little, answered Tock. Milo thought this was quite the wisest thing he'd heard all day. Come, he shouted, let's see the market. It looks very exciting. Aww. Okay, so this next chapter is pretty long, so we'll stop there tonight. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 4, Confusion in the Marketplace. Y'all know, as much as I love words and books, dictionaries, this is so much fun to me. Okay. So there you go. Oof. And that brings us to the end of our chapter book half hour and an end to our story time hour. Thank you so much for stopping by the book Euphorium and getting a little euphoric with our books. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for all of your support. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Ciao!